The rain fell hard on the streets of New Haven Colony. Jake Morrison walked home from his late shift at the supply depot. He pulled his jacket tighter against the cold wind. The colony was quiet at this hour. Most people were already asleep in their small apartments. Jake turned into the alley behind his building. That was when he heard it. A soft whimpering sound like a hurt animal. He stopped and looked around. At first he saw nothing but shadows and wet pavement. Then his eyes caught movement near the dumpster. Something was lying there in the rain. It was small, about the size of a big dog, but it was not a dog. Jake had never seen anything like it before. The creature had scales that shimmered purple and blue even in the dim light. It had wings, but they looked broken and torn. 6 legs were tucked under its body. It was shaking. The creature's eyes opened as Jake came closer. They were golden and bright. They looked at Jake with fear but also with hope. The creature made a small sound like it was asking for help. Jake knew he should probably call someone, but who? The colony did not have animal control. Dr. Hayes, the scientist, might know what to do, but it was 3 in the morning. This creature needed help now. He took off his jacket. The cold rain soaked his shirt immediately, but he did not care. He moved slowly toward the creature. It flinched and made a low rumbling sound in its throat. "Easy there," Jake said softly. "I will not hurt you. I promise." He wrapped his jacket around the trembling creature. It was lighter than he expected. The scales felt smooth and warm under his hands. As he lifted it carefully, the creature made a small chirping sound. It sounded sad and hurt. "Let's get you somewhere warm," Jake whispered. He carried the creature in his arms like a child. It nestled against his chest, still shaking but seeming to trust him. Jake did not see the other shape watching from the shadows. This shape was much bigger. It stood on top of the next building, barely breathing as it watched Jake carry the small creature away. This bigger creature was also a dragon, but she was massive, as big as a small truck. Her scales were deep purple, almost black. Strange patterns moved across them like liquid silver. Sharp horns grew from her head like a crown. She was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Queen Lysera had been searching for her daughter for 3 days. The young princess had snuck away from the royal nesting grounds. She wanted to see the strange new beings who had built their colony in the lowlands. Lysera had followed at a distance. She wanted to let her daughter explore safely. But then the thorn-scale hunters attacked. They came fast and mean. Lysera fought them off, but not before they hurt the princess. The young dragon had flown away, scared and bleeding. She disappeared into the human settlement before Lysera could catch her. Now Lysera watched this human. She had heard that humans were dangerous. They had weapons that shot fire. They had machines that tore up the earth. Many dragon feared them. Some wanted to fight them. But this human was different. He was small and soft. He had no claws or scales. Yet he picked up her wounded daughter with gentle hands. He wrapped her in his own covering, letting himself get cold and wet. He carried her like she was precious. Lysera made a decision. She would follow. She would stay hidden and watch. If this human tried to hurt her daughter, she would destroy him and his whole settlement. But if he was truly kind, she would wait and see what he did. The queen melted into the shadows. Despite her huge size, she moved silently. She had lived for hundreds of years. She knew how to hide when she needed to. She followed Jake through the empty streets. Jake's apartment was on the 3rd floor. It was one small room with a bed, a chair, a tiny kitchen, and a bathroom. Nothing fancy, but it was clean and dry and warm. He kicked the door closed and carried the creature to his bed. He laid her down carefully on his cleanest blanket. "Okay, let me see how bad you are hurt," he said quietly. He unwrapped his jacket slowly. The creature watched him with those bright gold eyes. She was hurt worse than he thought. Deep cuts ran along her side. One wing was definitely broken. Her back leg had a gash that was still bleeding. The blood glowed faintly blue in the dark room. Jake grabbed his first aid kit. He had no idea if human medicine would work on this alien creature, but he had to try something. He could not just let her suffer. "This might sting a little," he warned. He cleaned the wound on her leg with antiseptic. The creature hissed and went stiff. Her whole body tensed. But she did not try to bite him. She just kept watching his face with those intelligent eyes. Jake worked slowly and carefully. He cleaned every wound. He put bandages where he could. The broken wing was too complicated for him to fix. But he made a splint using soft cloth and thin plastic rods from his toolbox. He tried to keep the wing supported and straight so it could heal properly. "There," he said finally. He sat back and wiped sweat from his forehead. "That is the best I can do. You need real medical care. I will take you to Dr. Hayes in the morning. He knows about alien biology." The creature chirped softly. It sounded like she was saying thank you. She curled up in the blanket. Her shaking slowly stopped. She closed her eyes. Jake grabbed another blanket for himself. He sat down in his old chair. He was too tired to change his wet clothes. Within minutes, he was asleep. Outside his window, Queen Lysara clung to the side of the building. Her claws gripped the metal easily. She looked through the glass at the human and her daughter. She watched the human sleep in an uncomfortable chair while her daughter rested in his bed. She saw how careful he had been with the bandages. She saw the kindness in everything he did. Something changed in Lysara's heart. Maybe the council was wrong about humans. Maybe they were not all dangerous. Maybe this one at least could be trusted. Maybe there was hope for peace between their kinds after all. But first she had to make sure her daughter healed. And she had to understand this strange human named Jake Morrison better. The queen settled in to watch and wait. She would protect her daughter from the shadows. And she would decide if this human truly deserved the trust her daughter had already given him. Jake woke up to strange sounds. His neck hurt from sleeping in the chair. For a moment he forgot where he was. Then he remembered. The creature, the rain, the injured alien thing he brought home. He opened his eyes and saw the small dragon sitting up on his bed. She was making worried clicking sounds at the window. Jake followed her gaze and almost fell out of his chair. There was something huge pressed against his window. Something with glowing eyes and scales like black diamonds. Jake's heart pounded. The big creature was looking through the glass. But she was not looking at him. She was looking at the small dragon with an expression Jake recognized. It was worry, love, fear. "Oh," Jake breathed. "You came looking for your baby." He stood up slowly. His hand shook a little. The big dragon's eyes snapped to him. Those eyes were old and powerful. They made Jake feel very small. But he raised his hands to show he meant no harm. He walked to the window and opened it. The morning air was cold. The big dragon did not try to come inside. She just made a soft sound like music or singing. The small dragon on the bed chirped back happily. "I am not keeping her prisoner," Jake said. He felt silly talking to a giant alien creature. "She was hurt. I just wanted to help her get better." The big dragon tilted her head. She was studying Jake carefully. Then she did something that surprised him. She pushed her huge head through the window. It barely fit. Her neck stretched into his small apartment. She could have bitten him in half easily, but she did not. Instead, she moved toward her daughter. The small dragon pressed her face against her mother's snout. They made happy sounds together. The big dragon looked at the bandages Jake had put on. She sniffed them gently. She checked every wound carefully. Then she turned back to Jake. For a long moment, they just looked at each other, human and dragon, alien species meeting in trust. Then the queen did something that made Jake gasp. She lowered her head slightly. It was a bow. "A sign of respect. You are welcome," Jake said softly. "I could not just leave her there in the rain." The big dragon pulled her head back out of the window. She moved to the door of Jake's building. She scratched at it gently with one claw. "You want to come with us?" Jake asked. "To the doctor?" The dragon rumbled. It sounded like a yes. Jake carefully picked up the small dragon and wrapped her in a clean blanket. She settled into his arms without fear. She trusted him now. That made Jake feel good and scared at the same time. What if he let her down? When Jake walked outside with the small dragon, people stopped and stared. The big dragon was waiting in the street. She was enormous in the daylight. Her scales caught the sun and sparkled. Someone screamed. Someone else dropped their coffee. Ryan Carter, the head of security, came running with guards. They had weapons drawn. "Morrison!" "What is that thing?" "She is a dragon," Jake said. "She is not going to hurt anyone. I have her daughter, see?" Ryan looked at Jake like he was crazy. "You are telling me that giant monster is following you because you have her kid?" "Yes, sir." "That is exactly what I am telling you." Ryan stared at the situation. The big dragon had not attacked anyone. She just stood there calmly, waiting. "Fine, but I am coming with you. And if that thing tries anything, we will have a problem." "She will not," Jake promised. He hoped he was right. They walked through the colony like a strange parade. Jake carried the small dragon. Ryan and his guards walked beside them. The giant queen followed behind. People came out of buildings to watch. Children pointed. Adults took pictures with their phones. Dr. Peter Hayes almost fainted when he saw them coming. He was a thin man with messy hair and glasses. He loved studying alien life, but he had never been this close to a dragon before. "Morrison, do you know what that is?" Hayes asked. His voice shook. "That is a queen. The crown horns, the size, the coloring. That is dragon royalty. This is huge. Can you help the little one or not?" Jake asked. Hayes pulled himself together. Science was more important than fear. "Yes, bring her inside. Someone call Administrator Collins. This is a first contact situation." The big dragon could not fit through the door. She positioned herself outside the big window where she could see inside. Her eyes never left her daughter. Jake laid the small dragon on the examination table. Hayes began scanning her with his medical equipment. Images appeared on screens. They showed the inside of the dragon's body. "Amazing," Hayes whispered. "Her biology is completely unique. The glowing blood is from tiny organisms living inside her. Her bones are not really bones at all. They are more like crystal. Fascinating." "Doctor," Jake said firmly, "can you help her?" Yes, sorry, the wounds are clean. You did a good job with the first aid, but the wing needs to be set properly, and she needs medicine. I will have to make something that works with her biology. Give me a few hours." Outside the window, Queen Lysara watched. She saw the human scientist work carefully on her daughter. The young princess seemed calm. She kept looking at Jake, who stayed close by. This Jake human had earned her daughter's trust. That meant something. Lysara had much to think about. The Dragon Council believed humans were dangerous. They wanted to avoid the humans or maybe even fight them. But this Jake had risked himself for a stranger. He expected nothing in return. That was honor. That was the way of the good clans. Maybe humans could be friends instead of enemies. Maybe they could help each other. But first, Lysara had to make sure her daughter was safe. Then she would think about the future. Hours passed. Hayes worked carefully. He gave the princess medicine he made specially for her. He set her wing properly. He used healing gel on her wounds. The princess fell asleep under the gentle treatment. Administrator Collins arrived. She was a tough woman who ran the colony. She listened to everything that happened. Then she looked at Jake. "Morrison, how would you feel about being our representative to the dragon?" "Ma'am?" Jake was confused. "You have earned their trust, both the young one and her mother. We need someone they will listen to. Someone who sees them as people, not just aliens." Jake looked at the sleeping princess. Then he looked out the window at the queen watching over them. "I do not know anything about diplomacy." "You know about being decent," Collins said. "Sometimes that is more important." "Will you do it?" Jake thought about it. His life had been simple before. Now it was complicated. But looking at the small dragon sleeping peacefully, trusting him to keep her safe, he knew his answer. "Yes," he said. "I will do it." Collins smiled. "Good. Now we need to figure out how to communicate better. Hayes, can you work on a translation device?" "I can try. Their language is complex, but we have recordings from previous encounters." "Give me a few days." As the sun set, the princess woke up. She saw Jake and chirped happily. She tried to stand, testing her newly fixed wing. It hurt a little, but it was better. So much better. Outside, Queen Lysara saw her daughter move freely again. Relief washed over her. The humans had helped. They had shown kindness and skill. She would remember this. The queen knew she had to return to her nesting ground soon. Her clan would be worried. But she would not forget Jake Morrison. He had saved her daughter. He had earned something very rare. He had earned a Dragon Queen's respect and gratitude. And in the days to come, that would change everything for humans and Dragon alike. 3 days passed. The princess stayed at the medical lab where Dr. Hayes could watch her recovery. Jake visited every day after his work shift. He brought her food that Hayes said was safe for Dragon to eat. He sat with her and talked about his day. The princess seemed to understand more than she could say. On the 4th day, everything changed. Alarms screamed through the colony. Jake was at the lab when Ryan burst through the door. His face was pale. "We have a situation. More Dragon are coming. A lot of them. And they do not look friendly." Jake ran to the window. In the distance, he could see them. 12 Dragon flying toward the colony. But these looked different from the princess and her mother. Their scales were darker, colored with rust and red. They flew in attack formation. The princess saw them too. She made a scared sound and tried to hide behind Jake. Dr. Hayes pulled up information on his computer. "Those are Thornscale clan," Hayes said. His voice was tight with fear. "According to our records, they are aggressive. They fight with other clans for territory." "They are here for her," Jake realized. They must have tracked her. Outside, Queen Lysara appeared in the sky. She had been watching from the mountains. Now she flew fast toward the colony. She positioned herself between her daughter and the approaching Thornscale warriors. Her roar shook the buildings. It was a sound of challenge and warning. Administrator Collins started giving orders. "Ryan, defensive positions. But do not shoot unless they attack first. We are not starting a war because we do not understand what is happening." The Thornscale dragon landed outside the colony. Their leader was huge and scarred. Part of one horn was broken off. His eyes were cold and mean. Even without words, Jake could tell this dragon wanted a fight. Queen Lysara landed between the colony and the Thornscale warriors. She was outnumbered, but she did not back down. She roared again, saying something in the dragon language. The scarred leader roared back. It sounded like an argument. The princess was shaking. She made quiet sounds, almost like words. Jake wished he could understand her. Hayes was working frantically on his translation device. "Almost got it," he muttered. "Just need to calibrate." Then Hayes did something to Jake's earpiece. Suddenly, the sounds the princess was making started to make sense. The device was translating. "Mother. Danger. They want fight. They hurt me before." "You can speak?" Jake asked, amazed. "Yes," the princess said. Her voice through the translator sounded young and scared. "The Thornscale. They attacked me 3 days ago, in the neutral zone. Mother fought them off. Now they want to challenge her. They want to take over our clan." "That is not fair," Jake said. "Your mother just spent 3 days searching for you. She must be exhausted." "That is why they came now," the princess explained. "They know she is tired. They know she is weak. This is their chance to defeat her." Jake felt anger burn in his chest. This was not honor. This was just bullying. He made a decision that was probably stupid, but he could not just stand by and watch. "I am going out there," he said. "Morrison, that is insane," Collins protested. "Maybe. But I am not letting them hurt the princess or her mother, not after everything." He looked at Hayes. "Can you make my voice come through speakers, so they can all hear me?" "Yes, but do it." Jake carefully picked up the princess. She was still healing, but she could stand now. He wrapped her in a protective blanket and walked toward the exit. Ryan sent 4 guards with him, but Jake knew weapons would not help if this went wrong. He walked out into the open space where the confrontation was happening. Every dragon eye turned to look at him. He must have looked tiny and ridiculous to them. A soft little human carrying a young dragon, walking between 2 groups of powerful predators. Queen Lysara saw him and made an alarmed sound. She clearly wanted him to go back to safety, but Jake kept walking until he stood right in front of the scarred Thornscale leader. "I am Lieutenant Jake Morrison of New Haven Colony," he said. The translator turned his words into dragon language. 4 days ago, I found this young dragon hurt in my settlement. I gave her medical care and shelter. Her mother came to me peacefully. She trusted me to help her child." He paused, making sure they were all listening. "I do not know your laws, but among humans we protect those who cannot protect themselves. This young one is still healing. She is under my protection, and I stand with her mother, Queen Lysara." The Thornscale leader laughed. It was an ugly sound. The translator turned his words into English. "You are nothing, soft skin. Move aside or die with the false queen." "No," Jake said simply. His heart was pounding, but his voice stayed steady. "See, I made a promise to look after the princess. I keep my promises. If you want to hurt her or her mother, you have to go through me, and you have to go through every human in this colony." As if they had planned it, people started coming out of buildings. Workers with tools, scientists with equipment, even the kitchen staff with large pots and knives. They might not be soldiers, but they stood together. Ryan and his security team stood at the front with their weapons ready. Collins stepped forward. "You heard Lieutenant Morrison. We protect our friends, and we have decided the Queen and her daughter are our friends." The Thornscale warriors shifted uncomfortably. They had not expected this. Humans were supposed to be weak and divided, but these humans stood together, ready to fight for someone who was not even their species. The scarred leader, whose name was Score, growled in frustration. But Jake saw something in his eyes. Respect, uncertainty. Maybe Score had not expected anyone to challenge him. Queen Lysara spoke then. Her words came through Jake's translator. Score of Thornscale, you broke our laws. You attacked a child in the neutral zone. Now you try to challenge me when I am weak from searching for my wounded daughter. Where's the honor in this? Score roared back. I challenge you by right of combat. You are weak. Your clan is weak. Submit to Thornscale rule. I accept your challenge, Lysara said, and Jake's heart sank. But then she continued. However, I demand fair terms. We fight 1 month from today, at the sacred grounds of Skyfire Peak. This gives my daughter time to heal and me time to recover. If you are truly strong, Score, you do not need to fight a tired mother. Or are you afraid of facing me at full strength? Jake understood what she was doing. She was using the same tactic he had used, challenging Score's pride, making him look like a coward if he refused. Score's eyes narrowed. Around him, his own warriors were muttering. One younger dragon stepped forward. He looked like Score, maybe his son. The queen speaks truth, the young one said. There is no honor in this timing. If you are confident in your strength, father, a month should not matter. Silence, Corin. Score snapped at his son. But the damage was done. Other warriors were nodding. They wanted to win, but they also valued honor. Score was trapped. If he refused, he looked weak. If he accepted, he had to fight a queen at full strength. Finally, he spoke. 1 month. At Skyfire Peak, but know this, Lysara. I will end your rule and take your clan. We shall see, Lysara replied calmly. Score launched himself into the air. His warriors followed. But Jake noticed the young one, Corin, looked back before flying away. His expression was troubled. As the Thornscale clan disappeared, tension drained from the area. Colonists began talking excitedly. They had just stood up to alien warriors. They had protected their new friends. Queen Lysara lowered her head to look at Jake. You took a great risk, Jake Morrison. You could have died. Maybe, Jake said, but I could not let them hurt the princess, or force you to fight unfairly. Lysara was quiet for a moment. Then she did something amazing. She reached out with one massive claw and gently touched Jake's shoulder. Dr. Hayes gasped. That is a sign of great respect in Dragen culture. She just claimed you as clan. You honor me and my daughter, Lysara said. I am in your debt, Jake Morrison. When my daughter is fully healed, come to my nesting grounds. You will be welcomed as family. And perhaps we can speak of alliance between our peoples. Your colony showed great courage today. With those words, Lysara spread her enormous wings. She flew in a circle over the colony once, a sign of respect. Then she headed toward the mountains. The princess chirped sadly, watching her mother go. Jake held her gently. She will be back. And she will be ready to fight. Your mother is strong and smart. I know, the princess said. But I am still scared. Score is very dangerous. And if mother loses, she will not lose, Jake said with more confidence than he felt. We will make sure of that. But inside he worried too. He had bought them time. But in 1 month everything would be decided, and the fate of both Dragen and humans might hang in the balance. The weeks passed quickly. Princess recovered fast under Dr. Hayes' care. Her wing healed strong and straight. The cuts and wounds closed and left no scars. Soon she was flying around the colony, always staying close to Jake. The colonists got used to having a young dragon among them. Princess was curious about everything. She loved human music. She tried to read books, though holding them with claws was difficult. She especially loved the chocolate bars Jake shared with her from his rations. You are spoiling her, Colin said one day, watching Princess try to play a video game. Jake smiled. She is a princess. Spoiling comes with being royal. But beneath the happy moments, worry grew. The challenge was coming soon. Jake saw Princess watching the mountains where her mother lived. He knew she was thinking about the fight. One evening, Jake sat with Princess on his apartment balcony. They watched the sunset together. The sky turned orange and pink. Tell me about Score, Jake said quietly. Why does he want to challenge your mother? Princess was silent for a while. Then she spoke. Score wants all dragon clans to unite under Thornscale rule. He believes humans are a threat. He wants to attack your colony after he defeats Mother. Jake felt cold despite the warm evening. Does Administrator Collins know this? Dr. Hayes told her yesterday. Your colony is preparing. More security. More weapons. Just in case, so it was not just about dragon politics. If Score won, humans would be in danger too. The stakes were higher than Jake had realized. Your mother will win, Jake said, trying to sound confident. She is strong, Princess agreed, the strongest queen. But she is also tired from searching for me. And Score has been training. He wants this victory very badly. Jake put his hand on her scaled head gently. We will be there, all of us. Supporting her. Princess made a soft purring sound. I am glad you found me that night, Jake, even though it brought all this trouble. It is not trouble, Jake said. It is the start of something important. Humans and Dragen learning to trust each other. That is worth fighting for. Finally, the day arrived. Jake stood at the landing zone early in the morning. Princess was doing practice flights, preparing for the journey. A transport vehicle arrived with Collins, Hayes, and Ryan with security guards. Ready? Collins asked Jake. As ready as I will ever be. Princess landed beside him. Climb on my back. I will carry you. It is faster than the transport, Jake hesitated. Are you sure? I am pretty heavy, Princess laughed. It sounded like chimes. You are lighter than you think, brother Jake, brother. She had started calling him that. It made his heart warm. He climbed carefully onto her back, holding onto the ridge between her wings. Princess took off smoothly and Jake's stomach dropped. But it was also amazing. The wind in his face, the ground falling away, the sky opening up around them. They flew for 2 hours toward Skyfire Peak. As they got close, Jake gasped. The mountain was covered with Dragen, hundreds of them, every color of scales imaginable. They perched on rocks and ledges, all watching the flat stone circle at the summit. This was sacred ground. The place where Dragen settled their biggest disputes. Ancient carvings glowed in the stone, lit by some inner power Jake did not understand. Queen Lysara stood on one side of the circle. She looked magnificent. Her scales were polished and shining. She wore metal bands carved with symbols, but Jake could see the tension in her body. This fight would decide everything. Score waited on the other side. His warriors stood behind him. He looked ready and eager. He wanted this fight. An old dragon stepped forward. Her scales were almost white with age. She was the arbiter, the one who made sure the challenge followed the rules. When she spoke, her voice carried across the mountain. We gather to witness challenge, right? Score of Thornscale challenges Queen Lysara of Silversky. The terms are single combat. Fight until one yields or falls. The winner's word becomes law for both clans. Do you both agree? I agree, Lysara said clearly. I agree, Score growled. The arbiter paused. Her ancient eyes found Jake and the other humans. There are humans here. This has never happened before. I invited them, Lysara said firmly. Jake Morrison showed honor to my daughter and my clan. He earned the right to witness this. Murmurs ran through the gathered Dragen. Some looked angry. Others looked curious. The arbiter thought for a long moment, then nodded. Very well. Let the challenge begin. Lysara and Score launched into the air at the same moment. They collided with a sound like thunder. Jake had never seen anything like it. They were forces of nature, powerful and fast. They struck with claws and tails. They bit with huge jaws. They spun and dove and climbed. Score was bigger. His attacks were brutal and strong. He relied on raw power, but Lysara was faster. She was more experienced. She used his strength against him, dodging and countering. Score managed to rake his claws along Lysara's side. Glowing blue blood appeared. The Thornscale warriors roared in approval. But Lysara did not slow down. She struck back immediately, her jaws closing on Score's wing. He bellowed in pain and broke free, but now his wing was damaged. His flying was not as smooth. Mother is winning, Princess whispered. She gripped Jake's shoulder with her claws, not hard enough to hurt but tight with nervousness. She is showing him that skill beats strength. The fight went on and on. To Jake it felt like hours, but it was probably only minutes. Both Dragen were tiring. Jake could see Lysara's movements getting slower. She had been tired to start with. But Score was tiring faster. His attacks were getting sloppy. Then Score made a mistake. He lunged straight forward, trying to use his weight to overwhelm Lysara. But the attack was too direct. It left his neck exposed for just a moment. Lysara was ready. She darted under his guard and struck hard at the weak point where his neck met his shoulder. Score crashed to the stone circle. The impact shook the mountain. He tried to get up but stumbled. Lysara landed on top of him. Her jaws were at his throat. One bite and it would be over. Yield, she commanded. For a terrible moment, Jake thought Score would rather die than submit. His pride might kill him, but then, slowly, Score lowered his head. It was the gesture of surrender. I yield. Lysera stepped back. She let him stand up. Blood dripped from both of them. But Lysera stood tall despite her wounds. She had won. The Arbiter stepped forward. The challenge is satisfied. Queen Lysera of Silversky has won. Score, do you submit to her judgment? I submit, Score said. The words sounded like they hurt worse than his wounds. Then hear my judgment, Lysera said. Her voice carried to every Dragen on the mountain. Score, you broke sacred law. You attacked a young one in the neutral zone. This brings shame to Thornscale clan. But you also showed courage in accepting fair combat. Therefore, Thornscale will submit to Silver Sky leadership for 1 season. Time for you to learn honor and wisdom. After that season, if you have learned well, your clan's independence will be restored. It was smart. It was merciful. Score could save face while still facing consequences. Jake saw the wisdom in it. Lysera was thinking about long-term peace, not just victory. But Lysera was not done talking. I have more to say. Today I fought not just for my clan, but for the future of all Dragen. The humans in the lowlands are not our enemies. They showed honor when my daughter needed help. They stood beside me when they could have stayed neutral. Therefore, I propose an alliance. Silver Sky clan will open formal relations with New Haven Colony. Any clan who wishes may join this alliance. Shocked silence fell over the mountain. Then Dragen started talking all at once. Some sounded excited. Others sounded worried. But they were talking. The conversation had started. Corin, Score's son, stepped forward. My father acted without full clan support. Many Thornscales want peace with humans. I speak for those who would join this alliance. Score looked at his son with surprise, and maybe with a little bit of pride under his shame. As the gathering continued to discuss, Princess flew to her mother. Lysera nuzzled her daughter gently. Relief showed in every line of her body. Then she turned to Jake. Jake Morrison, come here. Jake walked forward nervously. Hundreds of Dragen were watching him. He stopped in front of the queen and bowed, not sure what else to do. You saved my daughter. You showed honor when you could have ignored her suffering. You gave me time to face my challenge fairly. You opened a path to peace. How does one thank someone for such gifts? You just did, Jake said. Seeing Princess healthy, seeing you win, knowing we can build peace between our peoples. That is thanks enough, Lysera studied him. Then she made a decision. She reached up and removed one of her metal bands. It was silver with flowing patterns that caught the light. This is a clan mark, she explained. It means you are adopted family of Silversky. You will be welcome at any Dragon gathering. Your words will carry weight. You will have the protection of my clan as if you were born to us. She placed the band around Jake's arm. It resized itself to fit him perfectly. Wear it with honor, Jake Morrison. First friend of the Dragon, Princess chirped happily. Now you are truly my brother. Jake looked at the band on his arm. It was beautiful and felt warm. He realized his life had just changed forever. He was not just a colonist anymore. He was family to a Dragon queen. He was a bridge between two species. And looking at the gathered Dragon, seeing some of them nod in approval, Jake felt hope. Real hope that humans and Dragon could build something good together. The journey back to New Haven was filled with celebration. Princess carried Jake through the sky while the human transport followed below. The young Dragon was so happy she kept doing loops and tricks in the air. Jake held on tight and tried not to look down too much. When they landed at the colony, people were waiting. News had traveled fast. Everyone wanted to hear about the challenge. They cheered when Jake told them Queen Lysera had won. They cheered louder when he explained about the alliance. Administrator Collins immediately started making plans. She set up meetings with Dragon representatives. Dr. Hayes began working on better translation technology. Ryan organized joint security training. The colony was buzzing with excitement and activity. Jake returned to his apartment that first night, exhausted but happy. Princess came with him. She had spent so much time there during her recovery that it felt like home to her too. They sat by the window looking at the mountains. What happens now? Jake asked. Now we build something new, Princess said. Her voice through the translator was getting clearer as Hayes improved the technology. Humans and Dragon learning together, teaching each other. Mother says I will be an ambassador when I am older. I need to learn everything about humans. That sounds like a big job. It is, but I will have you to help me. You are my brother now. We do this together. Jake smiled and touched the clan band on his arm. It had become part of him already. Yeah, together. In the days that followed, the alliance took shape. Queen Lysara visited the colony officially. She walked through the streets and children were not afraid anymore. They waved at her. Some even asked to touch her scales. Lysara was patient and kind with them. Trade routes were established. Dragen brought rare minerals from the mountains. Humans shared technology and medicine. Cultural exchanges began. Young Dragen came to learn about human science. Colonists went to the nesting grounds to learn about dragon art and history. Jake found himself in the middle of everything. He worked as an official liaison, which was a fancy word for translator and problem solver. He spent his days helping humans and Dragen understand each other. He spent his evenings with Princess, who was learning fast. Other dragon clans watched what was happening. Some were suspicious at first, but when they saw the benefits of the alliance, more clans asked to join. Even some Thornscale dragon came to talk about peace. Score himself stayed quiet during his season of service, but Jake heard he was changing. Learning humility. Corin, Score's son, became a frequent visitor to the colony. He was young and curious, much like Princess. He wanted to understand humans better. He and Princess became friends, which helped heal the rift between their clans. One evening, about 3 months after the challenge, Jake stood on a new platform the colony had built. It was designed for human dragon meetings. Below him, colonists and dragon mingled freely. They shared food and stories. The scene would have been impossible to imagine just a few months ago. Princess was teaching human children how to make dragon sounds. They were learning to say friend in her language. It came out badly, but Princess was patient. She corrected them gently and encouraged them to try again. Queen Lysara stood near Administrator Collins. They were discussing a new school where young humans and young dragon could learn together. It was an ambitious plan, but both leaders believed in it. Dr. Hayes approached Jake on the platform. He had a big smile on his face. Thinking about how one choice changed everything? Something like that, Jake admitted. I just wanted to help an injured animal. I had no idea she was a princess. I did not know her mother was a queen. I did not know any of this would happen. That is the thing about kindness, Hayes said. You cannot predict where it leads. You saw someone in pain and chose to help. Everything else followed from that choice. Jake looked at the clan band on his arm. It was smooth from wear now. He wore it every day. I guess small decisions can lead to big changes. The best kind of changes, Hayes agreed. Oh, I almost forgot. Queen Lysara asked if you would come to a gathering tomorrow. All the dragon queens are meeting. First time in a century, apparently. They want to meet you. All the queens? Jake felt his stomach drop. That sounds terrifying, Hayes laughed. They are curious, not angry. You are famous among dragon now. The human who saved a princess. The one who gave a queen time to fight with honor. They are writing songs about you. Songs. Jake groaned. Please tell me they are not embarrassing. Oh, they are very embarrassing, but also very respectful. Dragon poetry is interesting. Princess heard them talking. She flew up to the platform and landed beside Jake. She had grown bigger over the months. Her scales were deeper in color now. Her wings were strong and graceful. Brother Jake, she said, Mother really does want you to come tomorrow. The queens want to thank you personally, and they want to discuss expanding the alliance. This is important, Jake sighed. Fine, but you have to come with me. I am not facing a room full of queens alone. Princess laughed. It sounded like music. Of course I will come. I would not miss it. That night Jake had trouble sleeping. He kept thinking about the path that had led him here. He had come to the frontier looking for adventure. But he had found something better. He had found family. He had found purpose. He had found a way to make a real difference. The next morning, Princess carried him to the gathering place deep in the mountains. It was a huge cave lit by glowing crystals. 5 queens were there, each one magnificent and ancient. Their scales were every color imaginable. Their presence was overwhelming. But when they saw Jake, they did not seem scary. They seemed grateful. One by one, they thanked him for his kindness to Princess. They thanked him for helping prove that humans could be trusted. They talked about expanding the alliance to all dragon clans. The gathering lasted for hours. Jake listened more than he spoke. But when he did speak, the queens listened carefully. They valued his perspective. They asked his opinion on important matters. He was just a young human lieutenant. But they treated him like he was important because to them he was important. He was the bridge between their worlds. When the gathering ended, Queen Lysara flew Jake back toward the colony. Princess flew beside them. The sun was setting, painting the sky in brilliant colors. "You have given me and my daughter a great gift," Lysara said. "You have given us hope for the future. A future where our kinds work together instead of fearing each other." "I just did what anyone should do," Jake said. "I helped someone who needed help." "That is what makes you special," Lysara replied. "In a world where many would walk past suffering, you stopped. You cared." That simple act of compassion changed the fate of 2 species. As they flew over New Haven, Jake looked down at the colony. It looked different now. Dragen perched on buildings alongside humans. Children of both species played together in the streets. Guards of both kinds patrolled together, protecting everyone. This was home now. Not just for humans, but for Dragen too. A shared home. A shared future. Princess landed on Jake's apartment balcony. Lysara hovered nearby, too large to land on the small platform. "I must return to my clan," the Queen said. "But I will see you again soon, Jake Morrison. You are always welcome in my home." "And you in mine," Jake replied. Lysara flew away into the darkening sky. Princess settled on the balcony, making herself comfortable. "You are staying tonight?" Jake asked, "if that is okay." "I like it here. It is peaceful," Jake smiled. "It is more than okay. This is your home too." They sat together in comfortable silence as stars began to appear. Jake thought about how far they had come. From that rainy night when he found a hurt creature to this moment of peace and friendship. "It seemed impossible, but it was real, Jake," Princess said quietly. "Thank you for not walking past me that night. Thank you for choosing to care. Thank you for trusting me," Jake replied. "For giving me a chance to do the right thing." Princess made her soft purring sound and settled down to sleep. Jake sat beside her watching the stars. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. There was still much work to do. But tonight he could rest knowing that he had helped build something beautiful, an alliance between humans and Dragen. A friendship that would last generations. A future full of hope instead of fear. And it all started because one human chose compassion over indifference. Because he saw someone suffering and decided to help, expecting nothing in return. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness create the biggest changes. Sometimes one person really can make a difference. Sometimes doing the right thing just because it is right changes the world. Jake fell asleep that night with a smile on his face and a young dragon princess curled up beside him, both of them dreaming of the bright future they would build together. A future that began in the rain, with a sick dragon in a human's arms and a queen watching from the shadows, deciding that maybe, just maybe, there was hope for peace after all.